Hey, welcome everybody to the engine room. It's noon o'clock Pacific on the last Thursday of the month, which means it is time for us to go behind the scenes, under the hood, get like a practitioner's look at ConductorOne. So if you're new to this, this is our monthly series called the Engine Room. Once a month, like I said, on the last Thursday of the month, we get together and talk to Charles, who's a solution engineer here at ConductorOne, and get like a deep dive look at some aspect of ConductorOne. So it might be a use case that we do really well, or a particular section of the product that enables a bunch of different use cases. So that's what we're here to do today. I will wait just a little bit longer in case some folks are trickling in. I'll introduce myself in the meantime. My name is Brittany. I'm a product marketer here at ConductorOne. I am just your MC. I am not the expert here. That is Charles, and he's going to be leading our demo. I'll be handing it off here shortly. Yeah, I know that's how we feel about Charles too. This is my favorite. I just love coming to hang out in the engine room with Charles and with June, who's often with us in the background. Today, so last month, if you missed it, you can, we do record these. So we have on demand available last month's session, which was all about user access reviews. Today, we're going to be digging into dynamic access control. So how ConductorOne allows you to set up access controls in a way that is dynamic, contextual. You can, whatever kind of works for your business. So role-based access control, attribute-based access control, access controls based on your security policies. These are all doable in ConductorOne, and it's mix and match. So Charles is going to get into that. Quickly, before we do that, just the format. As soon as I stop babbling and give it over to Charles, we'll have probably like a 20-ish minute demo. We have the chat there. You guys can please feel free to drop in your questions about anything he's demoing. If it's appropriate to ask in the moment, we'll just let him know there's a question and we'll answer it. If it's something that's better saved for the end, kind of a more general question or something that's about some other part of ConductorOne, we totally welcome those questions. Please drop those in the chat as well, either during the session or at the end. We're saving a few minutes at the end and we will get to as many questions as we can. And what else did I want to let you know? Like I said, we're recording this. So if you have to drop or know someone who would benefit from it, we'll have it available for you to watch after the fact. And just for those, we have a mix of folks here today. Some of you, I think, are customers of ours. Some are familiar with ConductorOne, but for those who aren't, I'm just going to make you suffer for like 30 seconds of slideware so I can tell you a little bit more about who we are and what we do, just for those of you who aren't as familiar. So we are in the engine room and we are ConductorOne. So ConductorOne is a modern identity governance platform, and we like to say we are building the future of identity governance. And what is the future? Why are we so excited about it? Why do we think it's important? Well, because identity is a mess and governance is hard. And we looked around. Our founders came from Okta. They're deeply involved in security products, and realized that solutions that were on the market a few years ago just really weren't equipped to handle what is kind of the modern era of identity. And that era is multi-cloud and hybrid environments. People are working in the cloud, on-prem. They've got remote workforces. You've got contractors. You've got non-human identities. All kinds of things to handle, and it's kind of everywhere. There's blind spots. We're adopting SaaS. The average right now is like 300 to 400 SaaS applications per company. So this just makes identity a mess and really hard. And if you're trying to do it manually, it becomes very tedious. And legacy IGA solutions just really weren't equipped for this new era. So we are building ConductorOne, which is what we think IGA should look like. And that means getting full visibility into your environment, whether that's cloud or on-prem, homegrown, whatever. Get all of that into one pane of glass where you can see everything, covering every app so that's possible, making it very quick to deploy. So get you up and running in under a month. You should be able to move at the speed of SaaS if you're deploying a governance solution, and help you set up policies and controls that are contextual and automated as opposed to static. So that's a quick run through, but that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how do you get those policies to be contextual and automated. And just to let you know as well before I pass it over to Charles, if you want to learn more, obviously join us always in the engine room or book a demo with our team. But also if you're going to be in San Francisco for the RSA conference, we'd love to see you there. We'll probably drop a link in the chat for a registration page for the 4 great events we'll be doing around that week around RSA. All right, that is my spiel. Let's get to the, hang on. All right, Charles, take it away.
So today we're going to talk about RBAC, ABAC, automated provisioning and deprovisioning. So here I'm showing you our ConductorOne homepage. As an administrator, I would come into my administrative area. And the place I want to start is with groups. So groups are ways that we can put together sets of users or even mirror sets of users from other applications to create groups that maybe we want to automatically have a set of entitlements. So here I'm going to call this engine room group. Create this group. So obviously there's no one here yet. We need to come up into membership automation. And what we can do here is we have the capabilities of doing a little interface clicking, which I'll demonstrate here. Or we have cells sprinkled throughout our application. If you want any more information about that, please leave a note and we'll give you a link for more information. So with basic, this is where a lot of the power comes from. Again, we can pull users from other groups. So for example, if we have some engineering group that exists on an application like Okta, we can pull in those users directly. Maybe if we have a hybrid group, there are users that are contractors that are in Okta, and then maybe we have users that are in our directory in C1 from another application. We can combine those groups together inside of a ConductorOne group. So here, maybe I'm going to grab a custom profile attribute that we're bringing into ConductorOne. So I'm going to look for active users, and I want those users to be users that are in the department that is engineering. We'll click save. As those users are loaded in, we'll be able to say, yes, please reload this to view those users. This is my save. Okay, so we'll be able to see those users. They'll automatically load in. As that group changes, we'll see those users load in. There we go. Now, you might notice here that we're bringing in a directory from Okta. With that directory, this user, we're noting as suspended. So I could put in a condition to remove that user, but in our case, I can just remove him. By removing him manually, that's going to add him to an exclusion list so that he doesn't ever show up again. In this case, that user wasn't found. So we'll automatically not enroll that user. So what we'll do next is, now that we have our group, we can come to our access profile. For our profile, I'm going to do engine room. And from here, we're going to add a few different entitlements. So maybe for this engineering team, you know, we want Datadog, the standard role, right? Maybe we want AWS database users. So this is a set of entitlements that we think that this particular set of users is going to want. Boom. So here I have 3 different applications with 3 different entitlements that I think this set of users will want. If I want to extend the capability for other users to request this access, I can publish this access profile. By default, it's going to make it available to everyone. But if this needs to be limited to a specific group, let's say support occasionally needs access in these systems, where engineering might always need access, then we can say, okay, well, although we're going to auto-enroll engineering, for support, we'll make sure that they have the capability of requesting access. Furthermore, if this is a set of related entitlements that people might need all at once, you can allow profile requests. By allowing that, they can go to not just every individual entitlement, but select the whole group and enroll. Okay, so let's go on over, what we care about today is making sure that our particular group has the capability to have access day one when they're added to the group under whatever conditionals we have. That's going to be our membership automation under our access profile. So if I come in here, I can select out the group that I just created in ConductorOne. If there are particular individuals that shouldn't be involved, I can make sure to add them as excluded users. And then I have a couple decisions to make here. Do I want to just sync these users into the access profile, or do I want to sync the members in and kick off request tickets? The second option is going to automatically try and enroll those users. So if you do enrollment through direct connectors, it will automatically reach out to that application and try to enroll the user in the entitlement. If instead what you're doing is provisioning through tickets, it will go ahead and create that ticket so your IT team knows to go provision that entitlement. Once they close out that ticket, we'll read that back right away and put it back in platform. So syncing members, initiating access changes, that's if you're ready to go today with this access profile, where if you're just syncing members, maybe this is an access profile or enrollment scheme that we're still editing or thinking about. Of course, we can also manage that on whether or not we've enabled it. So I don't have to enable it immediately. I can save this. Great. So now for our set of users, we are automatically going to have enrollment for them in the particular entitlements that we're curious about. Now, you don't always want people to just have access. It could be that it still needs to be approved by somebody. In order to control that, we're going to need to use an approval policy. So let's go quickly make a profile or a policy. We're going to say engine room. And ConductorOne has 3 different types of policies: request, revoke, and review. In our instance, we care about request. And here we make a couple of decisions. First of all, what is our baseline rule? So maybe for a baseline rule, we want to say something like, well, if we don't know anything about this user, we want to make sure to go to the that user's manager. We want to set a fallback in case one doesn't exist. And then maybe we want to go check with the app owner to make sure that this person should be in that application. You probably saw a lot of settings there that I'm not going to go over. We're going to talk about this next month. So again, as Brittany said, so come back and we'll go into depth on those. I just want to highlight some of the other power in ConductorOne policies. So if we had a particular scenario where we wanted to auto approve, let's say we had some complex situation where we want, if that user was under the VP of engineering, they should automatically have access. We can use that cell language that I mentioned before to set conditional approvals. Great. So we have some policy here. Again, come back next month if you want to learn more about that. But now we can go back to our access profile. And we can apply this policy. Now, there's quite a few more options on here. When we're setting this approval policy for this access profile or this set of entitlements, right now we are showing that it's going to enforce each entitlement's approval policy. So in ConductorOne, you can set policies at 3 levels. You can set it here on the access control, you can set it on the application, and you can set it on the entitlement. So if we're enforcing that entitlements approval policy, we're going to go look through that hierarchy to see where is there policy that we can apply. In this case, I want to bypass it. For anyone that is in these groups of individuals, I want to bypass. I want to use the policy that I provided, so I'll select the top radio button. Now, people aren't just joining roles, they're not just joining groups, they're also changing groups or leaving. And so how do you make sure to keep your environment clean? How do you keep things running smoothly? Well, we provide profile unenrollment for that. So when a user is no longer detected in the group of individuals that we've selected, we're going to have some options. First of all, with this access profile, do we want to leave access as is? Don't change anything. We'll pick it up in a user access review or some other method. Great. We can just leave access as it is. That's the default. You can also choose to take a more hardlined approach and revoke all entitlements, right? I don't care if this person has this for any other role, like get rid of it if they've left this group. Then we sort of have the Venn diagram approach, which is, hey, if this user, go check, should they have this access through any other access profile? Is anything else giving them this access? If it is, don't remove them. But if there isn't anything, go ahead and pull those back. So that's revoke unjustified entitlement. Finally, we can set a revocation policy. So maybe you don't want to immediately remove that set of entitlements. Maybe, instead of revoking immediately, you want to go to that person's manager and say, hey, are they really not going to need this role anymore? Or these sets of entitlements anymore? So in this case, I will revoke unjustified entitlements, and we'll just bypass any other revoke policies. So in this case, the revocation task will automatically be created and executed. Excellent. Do we have any questions? Do people want to see anything more in depth?
Yeah, and if anybody has questions outside of the dynamic groups and access profiles, this is your chance. So feel free to ask questions about other things as well. I don't know. Anything else, Charles, you're excited about? You want to?
I mean, I'm excited about the way that we're building intelligence into our platform. So one of the things that we're also diving into is how can we use large language models to determine groups of individuals. So, today what I demonstrated was adding a set of users from a group or from various attributes of that user, but we're going to, from our ingested information, start trying to identify, groups of entitlements and the users they apply to help you more smartly generate, right, those groups of individuals or those groups of entitlements. So, we're on the train too as it comes to AI and the platform and making sure that those things that need to be controlled and how they should be controlled.
Great. All right. Looks like we have a question from Rajan. How does access reviews exception? How is it presented to the reviewer? Okay, so he's asking about access reviews.
Sure, we can jump into access reviews.
Yeah. The question is, how does an access reviews exception, how is that presented to a reviewer? Yeah, go ahead.
So if you had a policy for an access review and correct me if I'm not answering this correctly, but how I'm reading this is, let's say you have a policy and you're saying, are you saying have a conditional policy where you'll automatically deny a grant, or are you asking about someone who shouldn't be involved in an access review?
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he can type in, but his other question is what access review? He says, how about access review reports? So maybe like, what do the reports look like?
Yeah, let's jump in. Let's go look at a report. So,
okay. And he did say more kind of like exclusion of certain identities.
Oh, sure. So when we're creating a campaign, and we talked about this on our last meeting, so maybe we can get a recording out. But you can filter down, and when you're creating, you can select specific individuals if you like. You can select individuals based on profile attributes. You can on their status. You can exclude particular users from groups. So if you needed to remove particular individuals, particular entitlements from our AURs, that's certainly possible. When it comes to the reporting, let me see if I can pull one up. We have reports. Reports can be run during a campaign, what we call user access reviews. It can be just after, and it can be further down the line. So when you do a user access review, you're going to have denials. Some of those denials are going to require manual work. As you work through those things, and our system detects that you've worked on them through our C1 tasks, we will automatically update this report. So here I have a report. Let's make sure to pull this view back. So you see the name, you see when it was created, when it was started, when it was due, when it was actually completed. You'll see all the information about how many were completed, how many were certified versus revoked versus skipped. You'll see information like, and this was a huge ask that that we've seen a lot of good response from. When was that data last synced? A big part of ConductorOne and our power is our connectors. We are syncing every hour. We're bringing in information. So we give auditors that sense of how fresh is this data? If it's a CSV, when was it last uploaded? If it was a cloud connector, when did we last sync and what came across when we last synced, right? You can see the entitlements that were under review. And then you can see everything that happened in this particular review with links out to those particular tasks that were involved in the user access review. If decisions were made, you can see information about who made that decision, what that decision was, and if there were any comments on the decision. Finally, if there were revocation decisions, of those, what weren't completed. So even if it's going to be something that we're going to deprovision, if it hasn't been completed yet, because it needed to go through a check, a revoke check, a policy check, or if it was waiting on a ticket to be completed, those would show up here. And then those tickets that we did automatically run, you're going to see those in the executed revocations. And so as that work is completed, as you download these reports, you will see things shift over, and you'll know where you're at in terms of resolving the action items of that campaign. Now, the one thing that was pointed out to me recently was like, oh, but Charles, like, how do we prove that this is a legitimate document? You may have noticed that when I downloaded this file, there's a SHA-256 associated with it. So if you're handing this over to somebody else and they doubt the legitimacy of the file, you can hand you send them a screenshot of this, send them the SHA, and they can verify themselves that nothing has changed within the report.
And I'm dropping a link in the chat too. That is last month's engine room that does go into more depth of setting up a campaign, running a campaign, what it looks like for reviewers, and the reporting. So definitely take a look. And like we said, this one will be up shortly as well, so you guys can check out the video.
Oh, so yeah. And did we hit on your exclusion of certain identities? I think we did with the groups. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. He said yes, thank you. Okay, great.
Amazing.
Great. All right, everybody, thanks for taking a half hour out of your day to hang out with us. We hope you'll come back. This is like, you're always welcome. Grab lunch, grab some coffee, and join us for a half hour at last Thursday of the month. And we'll see you in the engine room. All right. Cool. Thank you, Charles.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.